Whales are large, intelligent aquatic mammals. They breathe air through their blowholes into their lungs, unlike fish who breathe using gills. Whales have sleek bodies that move easily through water. Whales belong to the animal order of Cetacea.
Believe it or not, whales evolved from a four-limbed carnivorous creature to a more amphibious creature, eventually becoming solely aquatic.
This took place through a process of natural selection through many generations. The organisms involved in this animal's evolution adapted to thrive in their environment.
Cetaceans developed inherited mutations, or variations of inherited traits, aiding them in best fitting to their environment.
Only the cetaceans who developed these traits were able to reproduce and acquire food, leading to a higher survival rate and further evolution and development of these aquatic traits. This form of natural selection originated from these organisms producing more offspring than could be sustained by their environment. This selective pressure of predators and the seeking out of prey greatly contributed to the survival rate of these evolutionary organisms.
Fun fact: whales have the heaviest brains on the planet, weighing up to 20 pounds.
Specific evidence of this development in the evolution of whales is seen in many studies. J.Z. Liu's 1992 Pakistan and Afghanistan geological study of whales uncovered developments in whales' teeth that were able to produce and receive high-frequency sounds, which enabled echolocation for hunting and communication.
Archaeological remains from Pakistan also indicate a development in whales from their Cestian ancestors. 37 million years ago, Baleosauruses roamed the seas. Their fossils display well-formed legs and feet, suggesting that their limbs were somewhat functional. However, the limbs were less than half a meter in length and would not have enabled it to walk on land, but rather to be used for the difficult task of aquatic mating. Researchers speculate that for these reasons, the Baleosaurus is a likely ancestor of the modern-day whale, who also uses his or her limbs for the selective pressure of aquatic mating.
Roughly 48 million year old marine rocks in northern Pakistan form the skeleton of an intermediate animal between modern whales and their land-based ancestors. The intermediate species is referred to an amphibious nadans and is interestingly the first whale seaworthy enough to fan out from Indo-Pakistan to across the globe.
Recent fossil discoveries in Asia have uncovered a succession of organisms around 50 million years ago, moved from life on land first to hunt and then to live continuously in marine environments. Studies of networks in the DNA of modern cetaceans have proposed the molecular changes that cause the ancestors of these organisms to lose their hind limbs and develop aquatic bodies. These adaptations played into natural selection, allowing those best fit for their new marine life to survive and reproduce.
Evidence supporting this theory can also be found in similar skull structures of Mesionichids and Cetacean ancestors containing water-based eardrums, loosened spinal structure vertebrae for tail movement in the water, and joint evolution between the two groups. The fossils displaying this date back to more than 40 million years ago and were discovered near what is now the Jordan River.
When an animal or a group of animals becomes separated from its larger population, the selective pressures force it to change according to its new environment. These changes in selective pressures decides the genes that will be passed on in the new gene pool. Inevitably, the weaker genes will die out. As this species progressed, it followed this evolution concept and adapted to fit its environment best, which in this case caused it to become fully aquatic.
When a gene mutates, a population of whales becomes exposed to entirely new characteristics through the gene pool. Through the process of selection, certain advantageous genes will dominate the gene pool, while others fade away. Eventually, as species specialize in their environment, they branch out to form new species. This concept is known as speciation, which is illustrated by vertical change. Their DNA differentiates from one another, and they can no longer mate outside of their species' genes pool. An example of this can be seen between the baleen whales and killer whales. This inability to reproduce with another species is a result of reproduction isolation caused by the differing environments of geographic isolation.
Evolution can have an impact on our lives by helping us realize that everything around us is subject to eventual change. Adaptation is an essential component to the survival of species. Without a constant evolution of the species on Earth, animals of all kinds would die in vast amounts because they would not be suited to the ever-changing conditions around them.
Having knowledge about evolution can help contextualize the idea of the human body's constant change and may eventually need different medicines to treat immune evolving diseases. Currently, viruses of our time are evolving immunity to our vaccines, and without knowledge of their evolution to combat this, medical professionals may one day run out of possible vaccinations. This would allow for an epidemic of massive proportions directly affecting our lives.
Knowing about evolution can help us infer that the species existing on Earth today will be different in the future. So with this knowledge that the environment around us is ever changing, we would be able to provide hypotheses about the way our world will look in the near or distant future according to favorable traits.
While evolution is a slow-paced process taking place over many generations, it may have many implications on our everyday life. From our knowledge of evolutionary traits, we can selectively breed livestock to produce more meat and dairy products to feed our growing population and relieve some tension currently surrounding the global population crisis.